Namaste and good morning, dear Kriya bonds. We welcome you to this morning's gathering and are very happy to have you here. The word Kriya Bon, if you have not heard it before, it was an expression that Sri Lahiraji used to speak of practitioners of Kriya. So I think it's very appropriate. And if you have not heard of it, it's spelled Kriyaban. So just in case you want to look that up. This morning, I'd like to share with you some of the golden nuggets from our beloved teacher, guru, and for some, the Ishta Devata of Goswami Kriyananda. Golden nugget number one. This is the garden of God, the world that we live in today. And although many people do not take this attitude, such as an individual by the name of, I believe it was Schopenhauer, a 19th century German philosopher, he said, and I'm just quoting him here, the earth is essentially a hell for living beings who are tormented souls and devils trapped in a cycle of suffering. To this, Goswami Kriyananda would respond, it is all about attitude. If we can change our attitude, we can change our world, the world that we live in today. And so attitude is all, as he often would say. For the third nugget, I'd like to share a story because it reminds me of Kriyananda. Once upon a yogic time, and this is a true story, there was a Buddhist monk who was teaching in Japan, and there was hundreds of students who were around him. And as they were all looking at him in the process of his talk, he very casually reached over to his left, picked up a rose, and took it and laid it on his right, and continued talking on. Out of all the individuals there was one individual who, from that very gesture, was able to reach enlightenment. It was like a satori that took place that opened up his mind. And later on, when he talked about it to his fellow disciples and students, he referred to that rose, and nobody else had noticed it. But he noticed it, and from that one action, Zen Buddhism was born. And we know what it is today. Kriyananda was kind of like that. He referred to himself often as a mystic. And everywhere that he looked, everything took on a mystical reality to him. I remember that I was surprised when on one occasion he referred to the fact Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men could not put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And he said that had a very deep mystical truth. But when you asked him what it was, he would often say, meditate on it and see what you can come up with. And so from that, once again, that mystical attitude or that he had, where he was able to look at him and from so many things that he experienced in his life, he often referred to them as satoris that opened up new understandings and helped him to move into higher states of consciousness. Kriyananda also made the statement that what one man can do, we can all do. And so all of us can be mystics, and all of us can follow some of the steps that he often referred to. One of the ways that he referred to himself as a mystic was being aware of the omenology that's around us, the omens, the portents that are taking place, primarily built around astrology and the movement of the stars, the cycle of the planets, the cycles of our lives, and how those two things intercede. Because always, as above, so below. As the stars move, so the universe moves within our body and within our being. There was many different ways that Kriyananda also shared by his entire life. I remember a story he once told when he was asked where the breadth and depth of his understanding came from, and I was always surprised by this story. He said that when he was in school and when he was going to be taking a test, that he would take a book that dealt with that subject and he would put it under his pillows. And from that, he was able to absorb the information that was needed for the test. Now, you think about that for a minute. If somebody told us, what are you talking about? But he would, once again, you could almost see him smile at you and make the statement, meditate on it, because there's a very great truth that can be found in that. By such statements, it was like he was opening up the possibilities of ways that we can absorb. Of course, all of our senses act as a processing mechanism by which we absorb the universe into our life, into our consciousness, into the memory track that we have and we carry forward throughout the rest of our life. And so realizing that not only are we attracting and absorbing all of the energy that is around us, but we're also sending that energy out to other individuals. I once read in a book, and it really affected me greatly, that one enlightened individual can affect 10,000 lives around them. That the spiritual qualities that we carry within our being as the temple or our connection with the divine, that is sent out to all the individuals around us and the lives that we touch by our interactions with them, sends forth that ability to raise others' spirits, to raise others' uh, depth of understanding. I don't know if you've ever been. I had the joy of being able to go to India and to visit some of the temples that are there, where for thousands of years, thousands of people have gone to worship and to um, involve themselves in pujas to the gods. On one occasion when I was there, watching a puja that was taking place on one of the statues of Ganesh and so forth, all of a sudden we were in this temple and it was like it was raining. I would feel drops on my head, being bald as I am. But when I turned and looked up, I saw the face of a very stunningly just bright light around this Indian lady who was leaning over me to get a better view of the puja that was taking place, and tears were dropping from her eyes. To that depth, the feeling of divinity and love and appreciation for life was certainly being manifested in that individual's life. And the light that she had, of course, she carried it, that she had absorbed from that puja and also from that temple, she was able to take out to other individuals. And so we too have that ability And we are in every day of our life absorbing the spirit and the heightening dimensions of consciousness as each lesson we learn and as each karmic lesson we learn, uh, we're able to ascend higher and higher, and our vibration becomes purer and purer so that it affects those individuals all around us. The next nugget I would like to talk about in regards to this, Kriyananda not only talked about the importance of reaching enlightenment and that relationship with the one, with the all. It's not only a vertical arising to that higher vibration, but he often talked about the level of consciousness as we expanded that out to other individuals. He often referred to it as the horizon of awareness, where it's not just our relationship up to the divine, to God or goddess, as we may call it, reality. It's also as we reach that, bringing it back down here to earth. And I remember there was a mantra that Kriyananda taught us. It's a Tibetan Buddhist mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. In that, he refers to the fact that there is a cadence and that there is a rhythm to it that had a very deep spiritual truth. Take a minute, settle yourself, center yourself. As you continue to breathe, take the energy from the extremities, pull it in to your torso. On your next inhale, pull it into your spine. Exhale. And as you inhale, begin to say, Om Madme Padme Hum. Do it internally about 3 more times. As you complete that mantra, just feel the energy within yourself. From that mantra and from the cadence of that mantra, a very important lesson Kriyananda shared with us. It's not a matter of just taking the energy up, like Madme, Padme, Boom. So, especially with that last syllable, it's like you're taking your consciousness up to the divine and then bringing it back down into our everyday life and sharing that heightened feeling of connect the reality around us with everyone around us as we touch their lives. And what a beautiful way to remind us every single time we say that mantra of the importance of it's not just about our connection with God, but it's also then bringing it back down. And as Kriya means, putting action into our life that affects those around us. And so, what a wonderful, beautiful reminder for us to always be conscious of sharing our energy, our love, our encouragement, all the positive qualities that enlightenment or bliss, ananda, brings to our life. There's one other thing that Kriyananda referred to, and I'd like to just take a few minutes and talk about that. As a mystic and as a prophet, and yes, Kriyananda in many ways was a prophet. A prophet is an advocate of a way of life who gives warnings from the divine of difficulties that may come up in the future. And before Kriyananda's transitioning, he often emphasized the importance of our bringing the Kriya practice into our very being and to make it a part of our body and mind, because he said there was going to be difficulties in the future. He said that there was going to be a time when we might not be able to share the Kriya teachings with other individuals, be it because of religious persecution, be it because of the laws of the land changing. Chicago, I'm always surprised how their laws in regards to astrology and such blocked our opening up another temple in the city limits of, as I understand it, of Chicago. And many places around the United States, that is still the case. And so Kriyananda said, become a repository within your memory, within your heart, within your very being. Become a repository of Kriya practices and Kriya breaths and Kriya philosophies, so that once again we can carry that forward to future generations, as is our responsibility as Kriya practitioners, Kriya bands, and swampis and teachers within our gathering. I think also that sometimes we see difficulties can arise within organizations too. Uh, Shelleyji often referred to polishing the rough edges of our personality. And I find we often forget the fact that organizations are just like people. We're constantly changing. We are constantly growing as an organization, as a body. And there have been so many times in the history of the Kriya path where individuals moved away or made changes, and with those changes, it brought some difficulties, some trying times. And yet, I can almost hear, and I'm sure you can too, Kriyananda say, adjust, adapt, acclimatize to these situations. Oftentimes, by doing so, additional branches of the Kriya tree begins to blossom in another area. Yogananda, when he came to the United States, he spoke of himself as being bhakti. Kriyananda was a mystic. We have in our own community here individuals who are very karmic based in their teachings. We have some that are very ritualist, into rituals and sharing those. What we have and what we know and what we share is the gift that we can give to the universe, to our fellow man, and to each other, such as in gatherings as we have here this morning. So I want to thank you very much for being here. I close with Namaskar.